My name is Joe Sclafani. My full name actually is Joseph Anthony Sclafani. I'm named after both my grandfathers, Joseph Sclafani and Antonino Tocco.
And you did something pretty interesting.
Yeah, I sort of like self-proclaimed myself as the family historian. I've done a family tree. I've researched the Sclafani's family going back to the early 1700s, and I researched the Panazzo family going back to the 1500s.
How did you do that?
Basically through ancestry. The records were all there, and I got onto the website of the Mormon family, the church in Salt Lake City. I got on their website, and all the church records are there from our little village, Cheney,
Why there?
because that's where they're from. The church was the church in the town is the center of the entire town. Everybody went there. I found some interesting things about church records. The church was built in 1672.
This is the church in Tunisia.
Yeah.
But
Built.
what about the Salt Lake Church?
Oh, the Salt Lake Church. Salt Lake Church houses records for genealogy records for entire world, and it's managed there through Salt Lake City. Right there. Anyone can. You don't have to be Mormon to access the website. By the way, it's the Latter Day Saints website, but it's called FamilySearch.org. And what you can do is you could pull when you get on that website, you could pull up records from all over the world. Where they got, where they have history. They have people just transforming these records into the website itself, and then you can bring up anything you want.
Okay.
Okay.
And so you founded a church in Tunisia.
GC
Had
I'm going through the church, the baptismal records. Um, so when I actually access the records, it doesn't have the actual date of birth. It has the date you were baptized. So that's the date I was using for as the actual birth date, because they're back in the day they used to baptize the children right after birth. So they didn't wait a month or so like they do over here.
been done for like 8 years old.
Yeah, yeah. So I found a lot of interesting people in the website, because I found out we're all related. Um, uh, my grand, for instance, my grandmother is her last name was Palazzolo. I, uh, this is the one I'm doing right now. The Palazzolo family. They are. They go back to the 1500s because they were from eastern Sicily. They were from Messina, and they came over to Chinese around 1530. Every one of the Palazzolos in Chinese somehow is relation to me. Every one of them. Um, the we come from we come. I was born in a town called Wyandotte in Michigan, and there was a lot of Italian families there, and basically, I found out that I am related to just about everybody that lives there, one way or another. So I actually did on Ancestry. I did what's called the DNA test down there, and you do the DNA test and they post it on the Ancestry, it comes up every person you're related to. So I got cousins. I meet them online, cousins that I've never ever met before. They're cousins. And you go back, second cousins, third cousins.
Do they look like you or other members of the family?
I can see some resemblances. The Sclafanis always have some same features, no matter who you're talking to. Some of them are lightheaded, or some of them have blonde hair, some of them red hair. Um, the,
You go ahead and say
Can I talk about the Sclafani family?
Please.
When I found out going back to the 1700s, in Chinese there was a person called, his name was Pietro Sclafani. Pietro was the son of Mariano. They all came to Chinese. He was some kind of big shot in Chinese. They called him a magistro, something like that. Some kind of lawyer back in the magistrate. He was a magistrate, and he had he came from Palermo, and he came with his brother. Because when I was looking up the they call this the census records from Chinese, he listed as him living with his wife and his brother living there. So I guess something must have happened to his parents where he ended up taking care of his brother. His brother married and had a family tree. That family ended up in New Orleans. There's a whole bunch of Sclafanis there. Not our immediate family, but there are others there, Sclafanis, that are we're related to them. Believe me. I was trying to. There was a group of Sclafanis that came from a village called, Piana del Albanese or Piana del Greco, in Sicily. It's not far from Chinese. Those family is the people that run the cooking school in New Orleans, and I'm trying to find a link. I am certain that they're linked to us somehow. The family patriarch. I researched that tree going all the way back to a Gaetano Sclafani in the 1700s. Then there's our line of family. Pietro had a son he had 4 sons, but 2 of them was the oldest one was named Natali, and that's our line. We're descended from Natali, and then there's a his youngest son was named Santo. Santo is descended from another branch of the Sclafani family, who lived in Wyandotte at the time. Our immediate family come back. Our what they call a family patriarch was Niccolo Sclafani, and he was the only surviving son of Giuseppe Sclafani. And he lived from 1783, born in 1783, died in 1859, and he had 3 sons and a daughter, and the sons were Giuseppe, Stefano, Natali, and the daughter's name was Palma. They lived in the 1850s in Chinese, somewhere in between Chinese and Terracini. That's where the Sclafanis lived. And Stefano married Giuseppe Paleo. Paleos were a big family in Chinese there too, and I found that the Paleos are also related to another branch of Palazzolos. So they're we just one big happy family from there. But now Giuseppe had his descendants came here and settled in St. Louis. I found that out. He had a son, his grandson ended up living in St. Louis for a long time. And then Natali came, his family came over and settled in Chicago, in the Chicago area. Then our family, Stefano's family, they had eight children together. Stefano and Giuseppe. Their oldest daughter was named Onofria. I don't know where that came from. Onofria was married Francesco Fanazzo, which is not somehow, I would see some kind of relation to our present Fanazzo family. But they had 4 children. 3 of them survived. It was a Franco, Stefano, and Caterina Panazzo. And that's where I lost track of them there. They somehow made. I don't even know if they made it to the United States, and then I lost it. That's where you lose some of these people when it comes to the States.
Did Sclafani family own the area that the Palermo Airport is on? And why don't they have that land now? So.
I read that somewhere the Sclafani family didn't own that property. It was from the Paleos. The Paleo family owned that, and of course,
Sclafani did own the property, and
Uh-huh.
before the airport was going to be started there,
Yeah.
the family was trying to trade the money in for the hotel, but one of my aunts in California didn't want to do it, and so the country
Oh, was
ended
that-
up taking the property and building the airport.
Yeah, that.
That happened in about in the 50s.
In the 1950s?
Mhm.
That's pretty recent.
Yeah.
Isn't it called Ponte Rice?
Hey, Mary.
Ponte Rice?
Pardon?
Hey, I'll call you back. I'm doing an
Oh,
interview
it was
right now.
Alonji that didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Didn't want to do it.
There's something
Joe-
for a family tree.
Josephine
Yeah.
Owens, you didn't want to do it?
No.
All right. I'll call you back a little bit. Hi.
Hmm.
So
Hi.
that's when
Hi.
the state
Hey.
took the property and built the airport, and we just did.
But that's what it's called
But-
now today.
Yeah.
The Ponte Riesa Airport, they call it.
Yeah.
Something. But I read somewhere where some mafia got involved in that. Oh yeah. Look, stand corrected then.
So what's the most fascinating discovery you made about the family history?
Oh, my grandmother. My grandmother Rose Palazzolo. Her family name was Palazzolo. Her great grandfather married, I think maybe it's 2 great grandfathers. His name was Giacomo Palazzolo, and he married Natali's daughter, Maria. So I found out that my grandmother and my grandfather already knew they were cousins through their mothers, but they're
Married anyways?
but they're going to go back to the Sclafani line, back to the Sclafanis, because when you go back, there's a break off 2 lines, which is similar. The Palazzolos, the Palazzolo family, if you look through the family trees, intertwines with the Sclafanis all over the place, man. One of Stefano's sons was named Antonino, and he married Palazzolo. So everybody just had a Palazzolo cousin. It was just that's one of the most interesting. I also found out we had a relation, um, a Clara Sclafani, who married into the Churko family, and they settled in New Orleans. They went immigrated to New Orleans. I actually traced them all the way back to Clara's death in 1948. They lived in California, up in San Jose area. They're the Churcos. This every time that you turn over a new leaf, as they say, you find something. You got to turn a rock over it, you find something. So this is one of the reasons why I love doing genealogy, is researching, because I went to college to study history. I loved history. I was a history fanatic, and I was in high school. So I just love researching stuff, and that was what I did when I was in the Navy, was researching stuff. So this genealogy, take it as a hobby, and it feeds into my love for researching.
Do you still have any questions about the family?
Oh yeah, I'm learning stuff new every day.
Give me 2 questions.
Oh,
Still,
oh.
on your mind.
When I first started, I researched my Aunt Rose and Uncle Frank. My Aunt Rose, my Uncle Frank, and then my Aunt Rose they were cousins in the beginning. Rose's maiden name was Panazzo. And when I studied, her father was Emanuele Fanazzo. He came over here. He was one of the first ones from the family to come here into the United States. He settled on a railroad, and for some reason, when I go to searching him in the records for the Ellis Island and stuff, he had made numerous trips back and forth from Italy to here before he was married, which made me think that he might have been some kind of recruiter for the railroad here, and because his brothers came over and other people with connections to the Panazzo family came over. It's just
Manny just spoke about that.
yeah.
He said that.
Huh?
My father? You're talking about my father?
No, you meant
Our grandfather.
Our grandfather.
your uncle.
Emanuele.
Your uncle. Is it your uncle?
Panazzo family.
Aunt Rose's father.
Okay, Aunt Rose and Uncle Frank have a connection like Frank and I have a connection.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
But her father was my grandfather.
yes,
Yeah, our grandfather.
yes, yes.
But
She was a Fanazzo and he
Mhm.
was a Sclafani, and the same as he.
yeah. But I found, and I remember when I was very young, I met Mr. Fanazzo. I was a little boy. I think he passed away a little bit after that. But I remember meeting him, and when I read his story, I was just kind of fascinated by him.
He said he came out to work, did work, the Great Depression hit, there's no more work. Rose had him go back, and then they got married, and they were to honeymoon. He took her back to Ellis Island, and then they were just planning on doing that.
Frank and Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they ended up, I have it recorded, we'll know more when I go through it. I've just absorbed so much. But I think the Great Depression was why he left.
Another interesting fact, researchers found that I found out that their son Sam was a war hero. I didn't know that, but I found some where he had got some kind of medal from fighting in the Korean War.
You talking about Uncle Frank Sam?
Yeah, yeah.
The crook?
You say crook or the cook?
Oh, crook. He did some shady.
Way to go, Frank.
Yeah, he was some kind of war hero. I remember seeing a magazine article with Sam Sclafani in it. He was some kind of medal
Your
for
brother
for
Sam?
valor.
No, not Sam.
Brother Sam in the
Not
service?
Frank Sam.
Wasn't him then?
No.
I don't think.
No.
He wasn't in, he wasn't.
Have a seat on the couch. It's available, especially.
Oh, I thought he
with the
was.
crutches.
No, I'm good.
Oh.
These are the phenozzles over here. They're
Yeah.
way
I'm glad I got
Bring
people.
them in. Have-
I'm glad I got people who correct me on the.
I don't think Sam was even in the service. Was he? No.
Oh,
Not that
Yes, he
Sam.
was, he was in the, Sammy, our cousin.
cousin Sam,
Frank Sam.
Uncle Rose's,
In the Navy.
Uncle Frank and Aunt Rose's son Sam. He was in the war.
Yes, yes.
I guess he was.
I remember him going back when we were in Michigan,
Well, I remember it being a
and,
clerk.
yeah.
Is there a reason nobody?
Bless his
Well,
heart.
Ahead of time?
He liked uniforms,
Oh, okay.
whether they're stripe or. Or you take a picture.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Up there.
It's family. It's all family.
Cut that. Get that in post.
Especially if his son,
Joe.
yeah, his son Andy's
Let's
here.
go
Oh,
one
he is
step.
here.
Yeah.
Rose.
So
Frank.
Fatalities.
Okay.
Oh, the Vitalis.
How does the fatalities in it? What kind of, how big is that family?
The Vitalis are huge, and everyone, it's like the Palazzolos. Everyone of the Vitalis in Chinese are related.
We had our great grandmother was a Vital.
Because I remember I was telling Francis because her grandfather, great grandfather was Vitali. She,
Grandfather or grandmother?
huh? Grandfather. Her grandfather was Niccolo Vitali, who was the brother of Rosalia Panazzo, the matriarch of the family there. And when you see the picture, you see the picture on the internet where we got the entire Panazzo brothers.
Yeah.
There, that old man sitting with the white hair. That's Niccolo Vitali.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Niccolo.
And that Vitali family is somewhat
Hmm?
tied in with strings.
Yeah, they're related. They're related to my mom. My mom, grandmother, was the sister of Rosalia Vitali. My great grandmother, Toko.
That guy in the middle?
Okay, sure.
This is him right there. That's Niccolo Vitali right there. Yeah.
Oh, you're a Toco?
Hmm?
You're a Toco?
Yeah. Oh, my mom's a Toko.
Fanny?
Oh
No.
no,
Down farther.
no. My Nunzio Toko is my mom's cousin.
Oh,
That's Fanny's
yes,
husband.
Fanny.
Yeah.
Fanny's husband.
Husband is Nujo.
Fanny and lost.
Huh?
We're not related.
Is Nina?
No, I don't think so. No.
Supposed to be here, both
I
Nina
haven't-
and Philip are supposed to be here.
I haven't seen them since I was a teenager.
Oh.
See, we have a Vitali that's
Are we having a
married
time
in the
limit?
family
Oh, no, we're fine.
of her husband.
Oh, kind of, I'm just catching
Who?
whatever
I'm
there
curious,
is.
Oh.
I was curious if they were related because of that same name.
They probably were. They probably
course
were.
they were.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
were-
If it's the same name.
They come from the
They
same
all have the
area.
same
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean, so somewhere down the road.
Who's your mother?
My mother is Maria. Maria Toko was her maiden name, but everybody called her Florcia. I think everybody knows because she came out here.
Maria?
Huh?
Your mother's name was Maria?
Yeah, her mother's name. My mother's given name was Maria Angela Toko.
Really? How did she get Florence?
It
Oh,
was because, let me fill it in. It was because when they had a daughter, it passed away. They had another daughter and it passed away.
Called her
So they
Florcia.
wanted to name it Florcia, so they named her Maria Angela and started calling her Florcia.
What did they think? Florcia was a bad, was a...
It was
Because
superstition.
we lost,
Well, you know how my
we
mom's
lost,
name is
our
Mary.
first loss in our family was a Florcia.
You know, they had
And in ours, Antonio.
A bad luck
died,
name.
And then they named Antonio the next Antonio, the next
The next
Antonio.
son.
The same Mary?
And the
Died,
same thing
and
with
then
Mary.
Our Aunt Mary got named Mary too.
So we have 2 Antonios and 2 Marys, and they're all sister and brother.
I
Same
found out
mom and
taking, I found out taking my name, that I had a brother that was born in 1939.
Oh, yeah, I found that out,
And,
yeah.
and he passed away, and his name was
Was Frank.
Francesco. And so when I was born,
Your
they,
parents didn't tell you that you had a brother?
well, no, I didn't find that out till I was going through
And then
the,
they named you Francesco too?
until I was going through the history of names, and found out that if he hadn't been born, my name would have been Francesco. So they were trying to name him after my Uncle Frank.
Yeah, because like the first son is named after the father's grandparents, and the first daughter is named after the maternal side. Right.
You know, one of the,
Firstborn are named after the father's mother and father.
Right, and then the
And then the
maternal.
wife comes in, 'cause
Right.
the wife's always second.
In Italy. but
Until we
not-
moved to America.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, wait a
'Cause
minute.
that's how it is in my family.
you know, was the most interesting thing, though, to studying the family tree, is I have found out that the head of the Detroit Mafia, Joe Cirilli, actually was related to me.
I actually met him.
Huh?
You've met
Huh? Yeah. His Zarelli's mother's maiden name was Toko.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she's related to my grandfather, and the other Toko that was in Detroit was the second number 2 mafia guy. They were cousins. Him. So Bill Toko, and Joe Zarilli were cousins. Joe Zarilli's wife was named Josephine Finazzo.
So there's more ties than just our
I
grandmother.
know.
Yeah, you know, that's,
You,
I gotta look at it here,
You
you've
know
got
who-
it all in your head.
you know who got me started in this? I think one of your cousins, John Cummings.
That's it.
Oh, we finally meet.
Yeah,
Oh my God, that's funny.
John
Oh.
has 50-some thousand connections on his family tree
Oh.
for both sides.
Yeah, I've seen the
Amazing.
family tree.
We should ask John.
what kills me is all the names are the same, and I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
the
gonna come
birth
here to
year,
find
you
out who's really who.
And
The only odd ones are John.
Giovanni?
Your grandparents are Kozak, is it?
Kuzak.
Kuzak. Kuzak. And
My
I
grandmother's-
researched it further, where I found out that one of the Cusack sisters married the grandson of William James Bryan.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was my first husband.
Oh.
He died.
Oh, okay. Oh.
He was, yeah. And in fact, I named my 2 boys, their middle names, with
Mhm.
Brian.
Oh, wow.
And they
Yeah.
had, I gave my older boy
Mhm.
a copy of the Scopes trial.
Oh.
And I took the sword, William Jennings Bryan's sword, when I was
Uh-huh.
in 5th grade for a show and tell.
Yeah.
But I had to do all the research on William Jennings Bryan first.
Oh, yeah.
And I never got to touch the sword.
But your tree helped me expand everybody
Well,
else.
I got in touch with 2 people that I don't remember now because that was back in 2006.
Mhm.
And one was a Sclafani
Well-
that I've never met, and another one was a Finazzo that I've never met. And they filled in a lot of blanks for me.
Well, one of the Finazzo, was that Fred Finazzo? I think he passed away a couple of years ago.
The dancer?
Huh? Was last year?
Manny's brother.
Manny's brother, yeah.
My
yeah.
brother.
Your brother.
Yeah.
That's right, that's right.
We always leave
I
you
was in
out.
contact.
You're just not as talkative as your brother.
I was in contact with Fred. He helped me a lot on the.
Yeah.
You don't
They
have
took a
a-
family picture one time, and I wasn't in it.
You don't have a house like this.
Ancestry also. She's
Yeah, it's
got
our
a
family. What? That's a family picture?
Oh,
really
show me
now?
Show
Where
me
am I
that.
at?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's on there too that you probably hooked up with.
Oh, okay.
And Patricia Broyles, somebody filled in the whole Salvatore Finazzo arm for our tree. She posted a whole bunch of stuff
You
on there.
related to Salvatore?
No, my grandfather is Emmanuel Finazzo.
Oh, so you're
We here, us here and those there, we're
All
all.
the women in here are pronounced.
all
Yeah,
friends.
we're all
So you're-
Finazzo's.
your Aunt Rose. My Aunt Rose is your aunt too, right?
She's my godmother.
Oh, finally you admitted there's finazzles here.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my mother is Mary.
Make it in?
Mary.
Mary Ann is the youngest.
Oh.
My mother's the youngest of the nine.
I found a picture online of Aunt Rose when she was like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, Cheryl just posted one.
Well,
So Joe, have you ever researched or ever come across the little town in Sicily that's called Sclafani?
Shoes of Sclafani. Yeah. Yeah, that has no.
Did you ever find out how that name came about?
Yeah, yeah.
They renamed it the Finazzo.
It used to be called.
Where's your boy at? He wants me.
A long time ago in Sicily, there was a count. His name was Matteo Sclafani, and he was up there. He was the what they call it, a marshal to the king. He was right up there. He owned that property, which at that time was called Chusa, and the Sclafani was added later, centuries later actually. But they had a piece of property east of Palermo, where the town, I don't know if you know where Cacamo is. Somewhere,
I heard of it.
yeah, somewhere that area, which goes right from the ocean right to the center of the island, it was all called Sclafani. As though you see these people that has the D in front of their name, Sclafani, D Sclafani. That means D means from. So they're Sclafani from Sclafani.
There's a picture in the
What did you
I
call
think
it?
he pitches for the New York Mets. But his name is D. Sclafani.
Oh, I know. He pitched for the Reds last year.
Huh?
Pitched for the Reds last year.
Yeah. And in it's Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. I also met a Joe Sclafani.
Yeah, I researched his. He's from New
He
York.
was a first baseman.
He was started as a shortstop.
And getting back to Matteo Sclafani.
Yeah.
He was the king of Spain sent him to Sicily.
Yeah. But he was
So I didn't know all the Sclafanis were Spaniards.
No, they're not. They're not. You know where the Sclafani family comes from? You wouldn't think where they came from. They came from Lombardy area in Italy.
Lombardi.
North.
Really?
Yeah. The first Sclafanis that came to Sicily came there as mercenaries for the king.
Were they the minority?
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
But they became the majority.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when I was in Sicily in '86, there was a Finazzo winery, and I don't know, does it still exist there?
Yeah, in Chinese, yes.
And she, yeah. So I was wondering, does our family own that?
Well,
'Cause
no.
I would like to have, I'd like to have a little bit of their
Hey,
wine.
The winery
Yeah.
went out of business because they didn't have enough women to stock the grapes.
The Finazzo.
Oh, yeah, really? Well,
The Finazzos are
My
actually
feet are-
from Carini.
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Carini.
going then.
Hey, Joe,
Yeah,
when we were in Sicily, we went to that Sclafani.
Did you?
Yeah.
Go to Bagno
And
Sclafani too?
we stopped in one of the coffee shops, and we talked to he was one of the owners of the coffee shop, and we asked him about that.
Mhm.
And there was a story was that this guy came to help the king. They tried to overrule the king, the people of the island, tried to overrule him. And this guy came down to help. He was like a general in the army, and he came down to help the king fight off these people that were trying to cause a coup, I guess, and take the island back and get rid of the king.
Actually, Chiusa, the reason for the name, Chiusa means closed in Italian. And they used it because they named the reason they named it that is because that's where they kept the horses.
Well, the man said that.
Yeah.
He said that it was an abandoned town. That there was a town there, but
Yeah.
then it was just like a
Yeah,
ghost town here.
because it was somebody's fief. Actually, they call it.
And the so-called king
Mm-hmm.
repaid this general or whatever he was, this town for helping him. Now that's how these people in the town there was that we visited, and every street there is one way.
One way.
And we kept driving around and around. We could not get out of that
Well,
town.
it's interesting. When you go down into Sicily, because Chios is in the center of
In the center south.
yeah, center south. If you go further south, there's a province in Sicily called Agrigento,
Yes.
Agrigento.
and Agrigento. There's a town there called Shaka, and just about every other person who lives there is named Sclafani.
I met a girl from on Facebook, and she's from New York. And
Yeah.
her family came.
And that's probably where they settled
Yeah.
in the United States, is New York and New Jersey. They're just full of Sclafanis over there.
Well, Frank, you and I and Francie, we went on a tour of Palermo. Remember that tour? And they had that square divided in 4 areas, and they had the Spanish square, then they had the French square, the Greek square, and so on. And they told us a story about the Sclafani, Matteo Sclafani. He immigrated from Spain, and that's when you were dumbfounded. They found out that you were Spanish instead of Italian.
He's not gonna let you go on that one. Wow. Wait, did you do your
I did some
DNA
research,
ancestry yet
on-
to find out your
On all of the
Hispanic now?
countries that overran Sicily, or commanded it.
Nothing wrong with that, is there?
Yeah, part of it.
Yeah.
Part of it.
I did my DNA. I already did my DNA. Kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
well, when you did your DNA,
Yeah.
when I was looking at people who had done their DNA and all the
That
different
could have been like Christopher Columbus.
countries that were involved
he
in
was
it.
Italian, but he-
I looked at the history of Sicily from the dinosaur days all the way up to 1900s.
Interesting.
And Sicily, let me finish. Sicily was controlled by this
9 different countries.
a whole bunch of different countries. I put it on Facebook, so and so.
The Normans, the Germans, the French, the Spanish.
And then the Pope got into it, and he started assigning different countries to control Sicily. So up until the future, the people were.
Well, that's where the Middle Eastern and then the Caucasus and all that comes
Yeah,
in.
well,
And
yeah, well,
Iberia.
the island had been invaded by this Baptist,
The head general that came from
Africa.
Ethiopia, he was a
Africa took it
Fanasso.
over, so, you
More.
know.
Here we go.
Really?
Well, then you know.
That's why we have such good tan.
I've always wondered
Look at the
why I'm
bottom of your
darker than
feet. Look at the bottom of your feet. See if it's white.
Even though I live in the sun, but.
The Panazzo family, and
Yeah.
I
have
have
a
found
part
out
of being
that
nowhere.
I traced the Panazzo family all back to 1530.
Really?
Yeah.
I did my
I didn't hear
DNA
that.
and I'm 65% Sicilian.
I did mine.
Does it say
I did.
Sicilian? Yeah.
I did mine, and I'm 50% Italian Greek.
How did that happen? You're 65.
I don't know where you did your
I'm
DNA, but mine is
75%.
65%. You and I are.
The other 40% is Northern Africa.
Did you? Yes, that was me.
I was wondering if that was you.
I'm-
'cause I was trying to see.
I'm-
and I
I'm,
didn't know who it was.
15% Middle Eastern. People from people from Palestine.
Is that Middle East?
Yeah. And then I'm sure that somewhere in back our ancestors are from Turkey, and that area, the area of Turkey, because 17% of my DNA is from the Caucasus Mountain region in Russia.
You know, I guess we should probably introduce ourselves, because you'll know who it is.
You have someone else?
Yeah.
No, but we all have married names.
I'm just letting everybody.
So you are just letting everybody
Yeah,
know.
I'm a
Okay.
problem. This is great.
Romans, they went
Paul,
down to the
John
island.
wants to.
Right.
Yeah, we can do.
They, people, when
And then we
I
can
am
all.
3%.
Constantinople fell, and the Muslims took over everybody, all the Greeks took off west. And when they settled in Sicily and Italy, southern Italy and all that.
120.
I think we can do that, what we wanna do
I gotta
tonight,
leave
I
at
think,
6,
is introduce
but,
each other.
But we have
You
to
are
go starting at 4.
3%. Oh, no, you're
Yeah,
not.
y'all gotta do
You're not
something.
yours.
Yeah, we gotta go there ready.
Yeah. So,
2%.
I think tonight, I think we're gonna sit
See, I don't have.
and introduce ourselves.
Is there